Welcome back to the Making Science podcast. Today we will discuss creative foundation and pre-validated performance. I'm Noelle Runo, Head of International Marketing Communications at Making Science, and I'm today joined by two expert guests, Matz Lukmani, Product Lead at Google, and our very own Costanza Ghelfi, CPO at Making Science. Welcome.
Thank you, Noelle, for having us.
Thank you for having us again.
Let's jump straight in and start with you, Matz. We've covered how Gen AI gives us speed of scale, but in this episode it's titled Creative Foundation. How do we prevent this new volume from becoming what we call a creative tax of invisible, low-quality ads, and what are the non-negotiable foundations for securing top performance?
Okay, that's absolutely the core challenge, and it's a starting point for any advertiser, which is non-negotiable. Creatives is the number one driver of ad effectiveness. This has been proven by multiple research done over and over again. And it gives you the same points. Your creative quality really matters. There are certain aspects of your creative that needs to hit the user at the right moment and deliver the right message. If you have weak creatives, your ads basically become invisible, and no one wants to run invisible ads. Why? Because you're just paying for impressions that no one will remember. And that would be the underlining need for any advertising that you go out with this year.
I mean, that is quite a powerful and crucial reminder. So if creative is the biggest lever, how do we translate that quality mandate into actual volume required today? And what are the practical steps and asset variety advertisers need to fuel performance across platforms like YouTube, for example?
Yeah, so to get us started, the way I look at it is when you're running your ads and you're trying to improve your creatives, there are two elements of creativity. The one is quality of assets. Are you building really high quality assets? Are they relating and adhering to the standards of the platform you're advertising on? The second one is variety of assets. Are you fueling your campaign, especially performance campaign, with the right inputs to drive total outputs? And for YouTube ecosystem, it demands a diverse mix of high quality assets in every variation and aspect ratio as possible, which is basically horizontal, vertical, and square, and all different lengths. So if you're running short form versus long form, or different creative concepts. To give it very concretely based on every specific campaign type, we have a recommended best practice, and I can run you through some of them for YouTube. For example, for your reach and view-based campaigns, so your YouTube auction campaigns, which are VRC and VVC, the least you want to do is have at least one horizontal and one vertical asset in your campaigns that you're running. So that gives you coverage across both mobile and desktop and beyond. For demand gen campaigns, which go beyond just video, at an ad level, the requirement is to have at least 3 images in all the 3 aspect ratios. So 3 square, 3 horizontal, 3 vertical images. At least 1 variation of a video in all orientations, so 1 square, 1 horizontal, 1 vertical, and then aim to set up both images and videos together to unlock the best for an automation campaign like DG, because it focuses on both display inventory as well as YouTube inventory. For GDN campaigns, which is our display inventory campaigns, the setup requires you to have at least 4 unique images, 2 in landscape, 2 in square, 4 headlines and descriptions, 1 long headline, 1 business name, 1 logo, 1 uploaded or auto-generated video. And that covers the entire ground of inventory GDN offers. For the last campaign, which is Performance Max, that goes just beyond like YouTube display to also search, the recommendation is to maintain at least 2 to 5 videos with 1 in each of the orientations. So again, landscape, square, and vertical, and then at least 5 images in all the aspect ratios, along with at least 15 headlines with 3 to 5 long headlines and 5 descriptions. I know it's a lot of details, and I would recommend you to rewind and rewatch it. But it'll give you a good summary of the basic requirements that are needed to get these campaigns off the ground and give you the best performance when it comes to just the variety of assets you're running with.
Well, Matz, that list of asset requirements, the sheer volume and technical precision needed for optimization is immense. Simply filling those slots doesn't guarantee a great ad, right? Beyond the technical specs, what is Google's core framework for ensuring the quality of the creative execution itself to make sure it actually resonates and it isn't just a perfect format?
Yeah, good question. So the first element I covered, cost, was around variety. If you're running your ads, you want to make sure they hit all the devices, all the surfaces with the right orientation. No one wants to see an ad on a mobile phone built for the TV screen. Why? Because 70% of the screen is black or blurred, and your ads are less effective. But once you have these assets in all variation, the next big question is, how do I improve the quality of these ads? And that's where mastering the YouTube ABCD framework comes in very handy. This is a data-backed framework that we've put in market for many years, and we've constantly improved it based on insights and research we're doing on our end. In short, ABCD stands for A, attract your users with an early call to action, early hook, if I have to say so, in your video itself. B stands for branding. Have a very clear branding message. Make sure your brand is visible from the start till the end of the video, so no one forgets who you are and what you're doing there. Connect with the users. That's C. No one likes to see an ad which does not relate to them, and that's a tough storytelling battle to have as a creative lead. But I would implore you to challenge yourself and build ads that you can easily measure how well they connect with the user that they're advertised towards. And finally comes direction. That's D. This is where a lot of emphasis needs to be made this year, where we want to make sure advertisers running ads have a clear, consistent, and strong call to action, because without that, the users don't really know what to do. Advertisers who adhere to these standards have seen better results. For example, advertisers running short form ads have seen 30% lift in likelihood for sales when they're adhering to these ABCD best practices. And we've published a lot of articles and best practices around this, so I would encourage you to check it out. Just search for YouTube ABCD frameworks.
Okay, so we have basically the foundation for quality, we have the requirements for scale, and the ABCD guide, essentially. But creative fatigue is very real, and you kind of mentioned a little bit of that there, Matz. So how do top advertisers ensure that their assets stay optimized for maximum impact over time? And how do we then build a culture of continuous improvement? Yeah, and this is really the final non-negotiable, is to adopt a always-on creative testing culture. And because you would probably know, because you're building systems that allow you to do that at scale. But for the top performing campaigns, you want to be testing and iterating and using A/B testing to see what's working and what's not. So the guesswork is out of the question when you're building your ads. It's all data backed. For advertisers that are successfully using video experiments, they've been seeing 60% higher ad recall from better performing creatives. And crucially, we are now leveraging AI to run creative optimization. So using things like video enhancement allows you to get the variation of assets you need using our Gen AI capabilities. This includes some of our latest models like Leo to build better videos. All of this volume just feeds the engine. And then the idea is the engine learns what's working, what's not. And if you're an advertiser and you have very classic creative concepts, we encourage you to run A/B tests on yourself. You mentioned a little bit about fatigue, and that's a very clear topic on YouTube, as well as it's for larger brand advertising and performance advertising. One thing to keep in mind is on YouTube, trends sustain much longer than other platforms. So what you need to have is a bias towards adding additional videos versus constantly shuffling videos in and out, because your videos that you've uploaded might take a couple of weeks before they become top performing and have ramped up on the platform. So give yourself that much time, look at the data, at least give a couple of weeks before you consciously make a decision on an effectiveness of a video. And yeah, have a bias towards adding additional videos rather than like shuffling them in and out. I mean, the entire architecture you've just laid out, I mean, the non-negotiable demand for high quality, the framework of ABCD, and the continuous testing culture, even when Gen AI tools present a really big scale problem. So to shift over to you, Cost, a little bit, how does a human creative team possibly manage that volume of continuous asset production, testing, and optimizing without incurring what we call the coordination tax, that slow innovation, but also this intense requirement for systematic quality and scale that seems like a perfect entry point for agentic AI?
Yeah, actually, this is exactly the shift from AI tool to agentic AI. And because, generative AI already gave us faster paintbrushes, but it didn't solve what you very properly call the coordination task. So all that time that the teams spent passing the creative piece from one team to another, so sending it to the legal team, to the brand team, getting the feedback, getting it back to the designer, having a new version, and so on and on and on, in this very frustrating process. So agentic AI has the power to reduce this time to market and these coordination tasks, as you call it, very close to zero, so to reduce it extremely. And that's because agentic AI, it's an autonomous system that it's able to achieve very complex goals autonomously, so taking the decisions for you. And in this case, it can allow to get all the feedbacks that the brand team, the paid media team, the legal team, and all the teams that are involved. So predict those feedbacks asset by asset and giving that information to the designer while he's still in the design phase. And this is the transformative part for a creative team, because they receive the information while they are designing. This transforms them from, let's say, makers of pixels into architects of systems, so orchestrating their agentic workforce, as it could be our Machina creative agents.
But so Cost, maybe a question to you, and maybe one you get a lot, is if I'm a creative leader, how do I prevent a reliability gap, which in your words, as you mentioned, autonomous execution can give you a massive leap in efficiency. But as these agents generate assets, how do you ensure that these assets have high creative quality, but are also on brand compliance? These are like foundational things that leaders need to get right.
Yeah, you're right, Matz. And again, the answer is agentic AI, because agentic AI can act as a governance layer. So if you have an agent, in your agentic system, such as the brand guardian, as we call it, it can detect immediately any specific attribute of your image, your video that doesn't align with the brand positioning or the brand guidelines that have been shared with the brand book and so on. So this is the first step, let's say, including in your agentic system a brand guardian agent. But if you want to move beyond that, you could also implement in your agentic system a synthetic feedback loop. What is that? Well, you create kind of digital clones of your real customers. So you have those synthetic personas inside your system, and your creative team can chat with them, can interview them right while they are designing the creative piece. And this is, again, something that I want to highlight a lot, that this takes the qualitative feedback upstream in the process. So the designer receives the prediction of how good the creative piece will perform once the campaign is launched, what the legals, what the brand team will say, and what the customer will say about it. Everything while they are designing. And this is what generates much better ideas. This is what we call hybrid intelligence, because we are applying AI not with the goal of automating repetitive tasks. No, we are applying AI in order to improve the output. And that's a change in the mindset that I think it's really needed when we talk about implementing AI processes.
I completely agree there, Cost. And a zero waste philosophy that turns creative execution into a systematic intelligence engine. I think that is the one sentence to take with after today. But Matz, Costanza, thank you so much for detailing how creative foundations and agentic AI work together to unlock the pre-validated performance. Thank you again for listening to all our listeners, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.